to episode 37 of Clips and Dip. I am Chuck Mockler. We're live doing this episode recording over on YouTube, youtube.com/@Clippers podcast. Hope everyone's doing good. I'm feeling great after the win last night. We're here with Adam Oslin and Will Updike. Fellas, while we're letting people trickle into this live, hello to everybody as well. Adam, how are you feeling? You were working the phones last night after the big victory in the Bayou.
It was a good time. Everybody was pretty excited for the most part. It was a huge victory for the Clippers, leading by as many as 31 against a team they hadn't beaten on the road in January 18th of 2020. So,
what do you mean for the most part? Were there people who weren't excited?
No, there's one thing that's kind of bugging me. I don't know if we're allowed to start the show yet or if.
Well, I think Will's here. Will, do you want to say hello? Do you have anything you want to get off your chest before Adam jumps into this?
Let's start.
Yeah.
Do we have a receipt on top?
Oh God, no.
It's not. I don't know if it's a receipt. And props to Chuck for keeping the receipts going with the solo episode he did recently.
I was a low key receipt. I did a respectful receipt.
Respectful receipt season. But there's one thing that's kind of bugging me, and you know, I don't want to have to say Russ stand down, and we'll get into all this. But I don't want to. It's just I'm obligated.
Sure. The oath we all three took.
I think there are some people confusing energy with effectiveness at times and execution. And I'm not saying it's, what Russ said about Patrick Beverley. He tricked you all. Russ has been great off the bench. What he is doing is needed.
Agreed.
His sacrifice is changing this season for the Clippers. But when I hear reporters and podcasters, and there's this new guy.
Whoa, this sounds personal.
Whoa.
There's this new guy, Pete Fox, who's all of a sudden jumping on the gravy train with Locked On Clippers, and my guy Dime is getting his territory stepped on. I don't know. You guys built that thing with Locked On. And then Dime is taking the baton from you guys and doing a great job.
Yeah.
Chuck, you went on with him and kind of passed the torch. It was awesome.
Sure.
And all of a sudden, some other guy is coming on, and he's like, yeah, Russ came into the game and brought all this energy right away and just turned the game around for the Clippers. And it's like, so he came in, they're up 16-15, and 2 minutes later, they're down 8. And that was him flipping the game around. Some people are confused with what they're seeing out there. They see a guy playing really hard, which is great, but ultimately it's still about winning your minutes. And things did turn around once they took the big four off the floor, which did not work last night.
Which was weird. Yeah.
And they tried it for the first time since I saw it in the rundown, but I saw Justin Russo was all over this too.
Yeah.
At Fly By Night. November 30th, for the first time they tried. James Harden out there with Russ next to PG, Kawhi, and Ivica Zubac, and they got beat by 14 in those 4 minutes they were on the floor. They tried it in the first half. They tried it in the second half out of nowhere, and it got killed. And that's what happened when Russ first got onto the floor. But I'm still just seeing this overall sentiment of, this energy. It's still about winning minutes. Regardless of energy, it's about execution. And while Russ has done a great job overall coming off the bench, and I am so thankful
that
he has sacrificed for this team, and the way he's cheerleading on the sidelines and getting guys up out of their seats. It is incredible. It is amazing. It is imperative. It is something that is so needed for this Clippers team vibes-wise. We haven't had a guy like this with that level of leadership really since Patrick Beverley.
Sure.
That is not just doing it on the court with his hard play. And I think that's what's most valuable, the defense we're seeing from Russell Westbrook.
Yeah.
He did have a couple of steals, a block on Larry Nance Jr. That stuff is great. But when a guy comes in and they're up by 1 and then 2 minutes later they're down by 8, I'm not putting it on Russ because it was just a bad lineup. And you're saying, yeah, he just turned the game around when he came in the game. It's like, what? That's not what happened at all. That's just generalizing and casual speak, and I don't know, but I keep hearing this stuff. It's weird.
You're over it.
I agree with you. In defense, I will say that like I can understand by like why you would enjoy watching his game, how it's exciting. And
Completely.
and the guy, I mean, the guy is giving it his all, and I agree that there, it hasn't added to a whole lot of plus in the box score, but I do think that there is some permeating effects just of that sort of attitude on the floor. And, and I'm not saying that the Russ experience just has its ups and its downs. Do we want to toss to this question from X Mongo Project? Since Adam, you got us started off on this again, didn't read the rundown, so we're starting on a completely different note than what we.
No, this is.
But we're here. I read it.
And I read it.
One of the first things we were going to talk about is that lineup that they went back to.
Why doesn't it work? Is my question. Like, I don't get. Not that I think that it would be lighting the world on fire, but it's kind of crazy how bad it was last night. There's so much good last night, but that lineup being bad, I guess I was a little surprised by how bad it was.
Not enough space. There's just not enough space on the floor offensively.
Well, I think too many guys that need the ball in their hand to be effective also. It's like when Norm is out there, he doesn't necessarily need the ball in his hands, and when it's in his hands, it's not going to be in it for long. He's either going to shoot it or drive to the basket and take a shot. My ultimate issue with this is it goes back to why people didn't want James Harden to begin with. A lot of people, it was because of style of play. Don't let style of play get in the way of what's actually more effective out there on the court. I understand you may like energy, you may like pace, but ultimately it comes down to winning your minutes and outscoring the other team. It's just the most basic part of basketball. So aesthetically pleasing basketball is cool too, but I think it still comes down to actually outscoring the opponent and winning your minutes, and James Harden has brought that to the team regardless of what you think of his style of play. And by the way, it's looked beautiful for the most part.
He's getting better. His first step is getting a little quicker every game or so. The first question we have on this rundown that all of us read, of course, have you come down from the high of that win at all, or are we still? Because I was riding very high last night after that win. I'm going to be honest. We hadn't won there in however many years. Situation solved. Like, that was a good win against a fully healthy, a team that was on a hot streak. I think I'm still pretty high off that win.
I'll say I'm very high. I'm bath salts high on that win from last night. It's just the overall stretch. 19 of their last 24 games they have won, 14 of their last 16 since December 1st, and all of it has coincided with bringing Russell Westbrook off the bench and him sacrificing and wanting to be that guy and still having an imprint on this team in a lesser role and being more impactful in a lesser role. But James Harden has been otherworldly. 13 assists to 1 turnover last night. He doesn't shoot the ball well. Who gives a damn? He was controlling the entire game. He made 2 shots, and he controlled the entire game. James Harden is exactly what this team has needed. Said it day one. He'd unlocked the best version of 2-1-3, and to this point, he has. I don't know what else you could ask from him. And he's sacrificing too. What did he take? 8 shots last night?
Yeah, something like that.
He is still sacrificing as well on the court, being that floor general and making life so easy for 2-1-3. There was a great comment from Justin Wilson the other day on the Lob the Jam, the podcast, saying that he's turning Paul George at times into Michael Porter Jr. on steroids with the catch and shoot ability and how easy Paul George can blend in and fit in because he doesn't need the ball in his hands for long either. He can make quick decisions. When he's quick strike Paul George like he was last night and the last 2 games where he's been their best player, it's amazing to watch. He's just putting them up immediately from the outside. The Clippers have been shooting 47% from 3 over their last 3 games. And I saw this comment on Twitter from Lucas Hahn, our boss, saying Russell.
I forget he's our boss.
saying that, James Harden is saving the 2-1-3 era. I brought that up last show with us. That's what it's looked like right now. He's saving the era. He is taking this team to new heights. Guys, This has to be. I asked Will last night on the Clips and Double Dip, who was awesome. Thanks for doing that again, Will, and picking me up, especially because my voice is still kind of wrecked. But this is the best regular season stretch in Clippers franchise history. I went back and looked at the 17 games straight they won back in the 2012-2013 season. Like 99% of those were against really bad teams.
Yeah.
It wasn't as impressive when you looked into the details. It's still awesome. It's still amazing. This is better, what they're doing right now. What is happening now better translates to what can happen in the postseason, Chuck.
Will, are you as high as Adam is after that? I'm Lucas Hahn's #1 employee, I guess. I don't have a plaque or anything. Will, are you still high off the win? How are you feeling? Are you rational or I'm bordering irrational on how hyped I am after that?
No, I mean, I said it with Adam on the radio last night. Like, I just feel like this team could win it all. I have not felt that way really all season. But I think this game, what stood out to me was we had two of our big three not have very efficient games. You know, Kawhi didn't have a big game. Harden was 1 of 6 from 3. And they still put this game away in 3 quarters. I mean, arguably even earlier, this thing was basically over. We saw the defense at you know, what I think is definitely playoff level ready. And just, you know, this was the first time I felt like the depth was in a spot that was good, but it's not like overachieving to the point where you're like, oh, well, that's not going to really hold up. I mean, we just had like multiple guys around that 7-8 points number, playing great defense and doing all the little things. So this one was really impressive to me just in how easily they did dispatch the Pelicans. I mean, like the only knock I could really say on it is like Zion did only play, like 19 minutes, I think, something like that.
Yeah, with like the thigh contusion or something.
Yeah, so you could maybe knock that, but I thought the way they like the ball denial on Brandon Ingram was otherworldly. Like they snuffed out a guy who cooks them routinely.
The doubles got better as the game went on.
Yeah,
which I liked.
And so you're just starting to see the growth. And I think the big thing for me has just been the cohesion. Charles, we talked about this while we were watching the game. Adam, we talked about it on the thing, but they've found a tempo now. And James Harden is like that metronome or that thing that keeps everything revolving where it's supposed to be in time. And it's really, really good. It's just looking really, really good right now.
That's such a great point. You said it last night, the cohesiveness of this group, because I was talking about now all of a sudden Kawhi Leonard doesn't do much in the first half. Doesn't matter. He still is in rhythm enough to take over then in the third quarter. It can be your turn, my turn, and everybody still feels like they're involved and the timing is still there when at first it felt like if one guy's going, the other guy's going to be cold. And James Harden, like you just said, he's just creating this rhythm with this team of keeping a hot potato out there with the passing. And even when guys aren't shooting it, they're still touching the basketball, and that's meaningful. I was watching James Worthy. I like his analysis often on Spectrum, and he was talking about that with the Lakers recently. And
and we're going to talk about Clippers Lakers in the next segment. That's going to be fun.
But even if guys aren't getting shots, just touching the basketball and sharing the basketball usually leads to higher efficiency and more makes eventually when they do put those shots up, when you're more involved in the offense. And it's about the hot potato, hot pocket.
Is it the hot potato offense? Is that what we're going to call when James Harden is playing well now? Is that? I mean, I'm not against that at all.
We're getting some great comments in the chat too about how it's not just 2-1-3 plus James Harden. The level that Zoo has gotten to. I mean, you have to give a lot of credit to James Harden, and it's completely transformed Zoo, not just in his numbers, but just entirely how he plays the game. He is that dominant center now that we always thought he could be, and he's just looking like it right now. People are wondering, is T-Man's shooting back on track already?
I hope so. That would be great. Let me pull up his numbers right now, but they certainly
he's 6 for his last 9 from 3.
Yeah, like it was a rough start. I think it was against the Pels. He had a rough opening, like 2 possessions. Last night,
airballed one.
He airballed one real bad, and then he kind of killed a possession down low, and it was like, this might be rough. But he bounced back. He came back. He hit the only 2 shots he took after that, which was totally fine. and they were both 3. So it's like, I think for what Terrence is going to give the Clippers in terms of points per game, which was never going to be a bunch, right? Like we weren't relying him to even be. He's maybe the 5th. He's the 5th option in the starting lineup. Zoo is very much ahead of him when you look at his points per possession and efficiency and all that stuff. So if he can just be in the range, I mean, obviously, whatever the 60% from 3 has been great, but I think this is exactly what we're going to see more from Terrence. He hasn't gotten too downtrodden on himself, which has been an issue with him. And he's just playing more free. So hopefully it opens up like it did as this Pelicans game went on.
I think also I didn't believe this, or I didn't want to believe. I didn't want to believe Terrence Mann's offense would affect his defense as much, but I think it really was. And that connection,
confidence. I mean, like so I feel like a lot of defense is like sort of that confidence and decisiveness, as well as there's other things, of course, but the thing we see again and again with Terrence is like when he's not confident, he's overthinking stuff. He can't really do either side of the ball that effectively.
Yeah, you're not a complete robot where you can say, okay, I'm playing bad offensively, but I'm still going to be just as good defensively. It just doesn't work like that, right? As you said, the confidence is still going to be affected overall with his game. And you can see over the last 3 to 4 games since he has been playing better offensively, defensively, he's been much better. The way he was picking up Devin Booker 94 feet against the Phoenix
Suns. Oh, it was
Suns,
great. Yeah, we all love
punking him in the first half was impressive.
Well, that's the other part. Every other part of Terrence's game has been great this year. Like everything else has been really good for the most part from Terrence, which has kept him in the starting lineup. So it's really just this one thing that needs to get rounded out to average.
Yeah, I still felt like there was slippage on the defensive end because he just didn't have the confidence overall.
That's fair.
Like it was in his head.
Well, and it's crazy. So even with the shooting woes, you touched on it a little bit, Adam, which was the continuity of the Clippers. Only 9 other lineups in the league have played more minutes than the current Clippers starters, which feels like if you've been a Clippers fan for, I don't know, however many seasons you want to put the cap on it, that's unbelievable. We have that level of continuity for the first time in a very long time. The only starting lineup to have a higher net rating is Denver and Boston, and the Clippers are plus 16.6 right now. So the Clippers starters are some of the best. At any given time on a night, they can be the best starting lineup in the NBA based on net rating. And it's because of this continuity and Ty Lue. I think someone said it in the chat. Credit to Ty Lue for taking the pressure off Terrence Mann. Like, he's done a good job of kind of protecting him, just, like media wise, and just letting him get his confidence back to help build that continuity, because they know how important it is. I mean, if anyone knows, it's Ty Lue. Remember when he used to have the card with all the minutes restrictions for guys? Because there was so much like in and out on the lineup. Like, it's a weird feeling to have this much continuity.
L. Frank said in the exit interview last season that we have to get back to respecting the regular season. And they have. Now, some of it has been on the luck side with availability. There's nothing you can do when guys get hurt. And for the most part, knock on wood, they have been more available. Kawhi played the first 27 straight games, I think it was. Paul George has only missed 2 games so far. Kawhi Leonard only 4. Russ hasn't missed a game. James Harden hasn't missed a game yet since becoming a Clipper. You can only control that so much. But
Norm has only missed a couple games, which I think is
true.
Getting a little bit glossed over in some of this stuff. Is like, this is the most time we've had with Norm continuously on the floor, which makes sense why that lineup is looking so good. Sorry to interrupt, Adam.
No, you're right. Coach Lue made the point, though, of even if guys are out, there are things we can do to prepare better for games. They're having more practices. They're having more walkthroughs, shoot-arounds, film sessions. They're just overall so much more focused. And that's how you get a game like last night where, all right, we're going to try something different, just double Brandon Ingram right off the bat. Disrupt him from the beginning of the ball game. And it took him out of his game, and it took them out of their offense. And they got blitzed. And they had just won 4 in a row and just beat Minnesota for the second time they had lost at home this season. The Wolves to the Pelicans. They also had won 4 in a row. Both them and the Clippers going into that game, hottest teams in the West. Like, that was a huge win. The Clippers look like the team who were on some rest advantage or the team that were playing at home last night, right?
That's a good call. We mentioned, we were talking about those doubles. You know what's funny is in that Clippers Suns game, the Suns were sending weird doubles kind of randomly towards Kawhi and PG and stuff like that. And that's the Clippers kind of mirrored a similar thing against Brandon Ingram in that Pels game, which was cool. And the doubles at first were a little shaky, but then it got better as the game progressed, which was awesome to see the Clippers kind of work through those early growing pains and whatnot. Do we have anything else you want to talk to in terms of what's been the key before we talk this Clippers versus Lakers preview, which has so much weird spice and potential, I guess, ramifications for it? Where did Adam go? Did Adam fall?
Unclear. I thought I heard a cat, and he doesn't have a cat. No, I think just the other thing is like how good the defense has looked for the regular season so far. It still doesn't feel like we've seen doesn't seem like we've seen the penultimate form of what that will be.
Yeah.
But I think the defense, the level at which they're playing during the regular season, I think has got to be one of the most encouraging things out of this year too. We're just not getting those. I hate to say lazy, but like lackadaisical kind of starts.
I know what you mean.
We're not getting like those low energy sort of performances.
Checking out games.
Yeah, and even when we do come up, when we're down big kind of early, I feel like generally you can look at it and be like, okay, well, the shots are just not falling down right now. Like that's going to get better. It's not terrible process combined with, not combined with everything else. So yeah, it's just looking really good right now. I mean, Charles and I were talking, and like let's say the playoffs started tomorrow and the Clippers are at where they're at right now. They're at where they're at right now. I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling pretty good.
Adam, anything other positive thing you want to talk about before we get into the spicy Clippers-Lakers matchup?
I was just going to say,
hey, what up, Eric Boy? Sorry, he just joined the live.
Yeah. Their margin for error, it went from this to from this.
Okay.
That's the difference. They're in that mode right now.
Did you leave to get that prop?
Have you seen that woman who's...
That's why you left?
That meme. Well, I also had to hawk up a loogie into the sink. I mean,
all right.
Yeah,
sick. Okay,
all right.
They went from a team that had to play their A game to beat another good team or to have a chance against another top team. Now they can play their B- game, still have 15 turnovers last night. How many they have against the Miami Heat? The turnovers have been up a little bit recently, and they're still dominant, and they're still handling business and blowing teams out. They can make more mistakes. This is something you used to see with the KD Golden State Warriors. They didn't have to play their best every night. They could be at their C game and beat you when you're playing your B+ A game because the talent disparity. And so that margin for error has grown with this Clippers team with James Harden, because when they lock in for 5 minutes, when they go on these runs to end every quarter like they did last night, where it was a 10-2 run to end the first quarter, a 23-7 run to end the second quarter, and then a 16-5 run with Norman Powell knocking down that three-pointer to end the third quarter. When you close quarters like that, it also reminds me of the Golden State Warriors, but it just shows that level of focus. Before a quarter ends, a lot of teams waver. And that's why they say championship teams, they step pedal to the metal at the end of quarters. They put their foot on the gas a little bit more, and the Clippers are starting to do that now. It's been impressive to see. But overall, it's just that talent ceiling has been raised by having James Harden, so you can get away with having more mistakes out there, and you can throw out that lineup that didn't work. It was a -14 in 4 minutes, and you can still lead that game by 31 on the road in New Orleans against a team that had won 9 of 10 against you.
It was great to see. We're going to get into the Clippers versus Lakers preview after this break. If you're just listening to this podcast, if you're not on the live recording, hello to everyone who's a new subscriber as well. You get to see Adam do props if you missed that earlier. It was some good stuff. If you're listening to this, the ads have been loud for some people. If that's been the case, you go ahead and turn it down. We got ads and then the Lakers Clippers preview. Ads in 3, 2, 1.
All right, we're back in on the audio. We never left. If you're watching this on YouTube Live, which if you're missing out on that, go ahead and check us. That's over on youtube.com/@ClippersPodcast. So we talked a little bit about what has been working after a great win over the Pelicans. Now we're looking ahead to taking on the Lakers, a team that just suffered a loss last night. It's not looking too good for them. I believe it's 4 straight now. Will the Clippers make it a 5th?
Yeah, this is very different from when the last time these two teams played. No Terrence Mann, no James Harden. Clippers lost in OT. Kawhi and Paul George went off. PJ Tucker played 20 minutes, which was very not fun. Wow, before we because I did a little thing here between the last 11 games between these two teams is basically two completely opposite teams. Before we get into that, we do have to talk a little bit about this. If the Clippers take care of business in a way that is authoritative, let's just say tomorrow, let's say things go very well for the Clippers. Is Darvin Ham's he has the hottest seat in the league right now? Haggle, no haggle, Adam Oslin.
No haggle. It's obvious.
It's brutal, man.
It's been hot for a week and a half. It's been hot since the in-season tournament. Are they 3-10 or somewhere in that range?
Or 2-9 over their last 11.
Okay,
guys. I'm told Bronny will be playing soon, and he's better than some of the players on the roster. He would be getting playing time easy. He
might be better than his pops with the way he bricked that one off the side of the backboard last night. I don't want to see Darvin Ham get let go. It just feels like it's so early. It's just his second year, and they've had success. They made the Western Conference Finals last year when everybody was counting them out, and they had that great move at the trade deadline. And I do think a lot of it is injury influence, and they're still a really good team there. But roster construction-wise versus rotations has been a little bit iffy. That's what I'm hearing from Lakers fans, and that's what I've seen. I pay attention to – you got to know the enemy. I pay attention to them quite a bit and what they're doing, and some of the starting lineups have been curious. So would I be surprised? No. Do I hope it happens? No, I don't want that to happen.
Of course, no.
And I think the Lakers are going to play hard tomorrow, and I think this may be one of those games where you throw out the records or how the teams are playing because they both get up playing one another.
Yeah, so over these last 11 games, the Lakers are 2-9, the Clippers are 9-2. The Lakers are 24th in plus minus. The Clippers are 7th. The Lakers are 24th in points per game. The Clippers are 5th. The Lakers are 25th in three-point percentage. The Clippers are 1st over the last 11 games. So completely different trajectories right now. One thing that's interesting, the Clippers are 5th in points per game, but they are 28th in field goal attempts per game. That's how efficient the Clippers have been over these last 11 games. Part of me wonders, Adam, you mentioned, you kind of throw out maybe records and stuff like that with these two teams and the situation across the hall. That's something where I really hope that efficiency can keep up, because if the Clippers do lose that possession battle, things get a little hairy sometimes.
Yeah, and the turnovers recently have been up.
I just saw Adam's name. I'm sorry.
That's amazing. Will,
best way to keep your eye on the enemy, dude.
If you're wondering who came up with the Power Rangers nickname, it's this guy below who just came up with this as well.
Oh, which we got to talk to Eric Wee about. We got to talk about a little project maybe with him about that.
Yeah, and we got a lot of comments coming in here, guys. We got to respond to some of this stuff. Michael Young, if this team is serious, they really should blow the Lakers the F out tomorrow.
That would be nice. I do think
regardless, the team is serious. I don't think that's the indication or the telltale sign of whether or not the Clippers are in serious mode right now. But it would be nice because they did lose to the Lakers earlier this season for the first time, I want to say, the last 11 tries. But I still think a desperate team is a dangerous team. A wounded animal is a dangerous one. The Lakers are at that breaking point where they know.
This could be it.
And I don't think, I know there's been some reports from Jovan Buha of The Athletic that there's some disconnect from the locker room and Darvin Ham and some of the stuff he is doing right now.
Think?
it's a bad look still after winning the in-season tournament, obviously, and them playing really well and looking like they still got a squad that wants to get back into the Western Conference Finals and see what they can do against the Denver Nuggets this time around, for things to fall apart this quickly. And LeBron last night was talking about how, look, it was just 2 games. Well, it was just 2 games in Vegas, but they they won all their games that were in the in-season tournament.
Yeah.
They were dominant. They beat some really good teams. So I don't think you should underestimate them, is what I'm saying. As good as the Clippers are trending upwards right now and the Lakers are trending downwards, I don't want anyone to get too overconfident, because they're probably going to get the Lakers' best shot tomorrow.
So the Lakers are, for how poorly they have played, still a top 10 defensive rating team. It's the offense that's the issue. They have the 10th rated defense in the league. I've looked at this sample size, right? We're basically halfway through the season. That's a legitimate 10th in the league. You know what I'm saying? It's not like game 5 or something like that. So Will, what are you looking for the Clips to do to really put this one away? Other than, we know the mentality is going to be there. They're going to hopefully assert themselves early. Gameplay wise, what are you looking for? Who do you want to see on LeBron? What are your talking points for this quasi important game, I guess, for the standings?
I want to see Terrence Mann on LeBron. Terrence Mann versus
Hell
LeBron is one of my more underrated matchups in the NBA. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that. I want to see the defense at the level that we've seen it at, because I just don't know what this Lakers team can really do if you put the clamps on early. Like, if you put the kind of pressure on them that they were giving the Pelicans, I'm just struggling to see. I don't think they'll put up 100 points. I'm just not seeing
it. Damn, that is. They average. What are they averaging per game? They average 113 per game. So if they don't put up 100 points, things are. Why I would love that, but I don't know if I would take that under.
You hope the Lakers put up more, though.
I don't hope the Lakers put up more. I think they might put up more.
Charles wants it to be a challenge. Cripple one of our players before the game.
Yeah, hold someone
if you could, sir.
Yeah, play PJ Tucker 20 minutes again. Adam, what are you looking for?
Well, this will be the first game James Harden plays against the Lakers as a member of the Clippers. They didn't have him. Remember, the trade went through the last time they played him, and that overtime thriller, one of the best games in the 2-1-3 era with Kawhi, PG versus LeBron and Anthony Davis last time out. That was a Lakers home game as well. This one will technically be so too. So I want to see what James Harden can do against this team and breaking down their defense and trying to draw Anthony Davis away from the paint, because he is their defensive rating. That's all Anthony Davis. He has been so good on that end, especially this season. And what's most confounding with the Lakers is, for the most part, he and LeBron have been healthy this year, and they're under 500. Yeah. That's what's crazy to see right now. So pieces aren't fitting, but I still think there's enough guys there with Austin Reeves, who picked it up after a slow start this year, that they can still be very dangerous and take you down.
And D'Lo cooked last time we played too, and he might come back.
And they need is one big win. You know what I mean? Like that's
that's
all a team in this position really needs, right?
Totally.
And they're looking at this.
You don't want to be the contender that gives them that big win. But that turning things around in the NBA, especially when you do have the talent of LeBron and Anthony Davis, like, it is possible.
If you look at their last 2 losses, the Miami Heat loss is in stark contrast to the way they lost the Memphis Grizzlies. They didn't show up against the Heat, and they got beat, and they couldn't break the zone, and that was alarming. But against Memphis, they just had a hot shooting night. Memphis, I think, is the worst shooting team from 3, and they came in and just lit up the Lakers from the outside and were hitting an inordinate amount of 3-pointers. Lakers didn't play that bad.
Wild. They're not the worst 3-point shooting team.
Who?
The Grizzlies.
Memphis?
Yeah.
Well, they probably won't end up there. They just started off the season, I think, so bad from the outside. But there is something to this. The Lakers give up the most open threes, wide open threes, so 6 feet beyond, in the NBA. Did you have that in the notes, Chuck?
No, I didn't. I'm pro that, and I'm happy.
So
with the
you're telling me
I know
Norm
you
is
didn't
gonna
have them in the
feast?
notes
because you read the notes. See, I started color coding it.
They give up 22 wide open threes per game. So if you are a team that is having a good night or a good 3-point shooting team like the Clippers are, and they have a chance, by the way, before this season is over, to be the best shooting team from the outside in the league, I think. We're just starting to see that now. Yeah. You got to take advantage of that. They are giving up some open shots. So some of it was shot variance and just wonky shooting from the Memphis Grizzlies. Some of it was due to the Lakers' poor perimeter defense.
Yeah. So one thing I was just looking up, Will mentioned the defensive prowess that he wants to see set early. Andrew Greif wrote a nice piece that also talked about how the Clippers are, they're focusing on their transition defense, making their transition defense better. The Lakers are a top 10 team in transition points per game right now. So that is an area, Will, you mentioned it. You don't want to give them easy transition points, are the easiest points. And the defense for the Clippers in transition has been maybe their worst part. Not that it's been terrible.
That was a big part of the Lakers' identity when they did win a championship. But they put up so few field goal attempts overall.
Right.
I'm not saying like give them up or whatever. But I think the biggest thing is it's just kind of sticking to the formula that works right now. And yeah, I agree. You don't want to give up easy buckets, but I think the Clippers need to stay the course right now and not overthink like how they're going to approach this team, because I just feel like they have it figured out. They got it. We have this version of the Lakers number.
Yeah, because they don't even really know what version of themselves they are right now, which is what I think is really the Clippers have an identity, right? They've built up, like we talked about. James Harden has saved the 2-1-3 Clippers. He's helped them make this identity and all that stuff. The Lakers have none of that right now. They don't know what kind of team they are. The Clippers know what kind of team they are, and they're rolling. Adam, what's something that could go wrong in this game? Who's a random Laker that you're maybe worried about? Because sometimes those things happen.
Taurean Prince has had some really good shooting nights.
Okay.
He's had, when they play well,
he was active on defense in that Memphis game too.
Yeah. Typically when they play well, he plays well. It used to be D'Angelo Russell was kind of the barometer for that, but he's been banged up recently, and that has hurt them to an extent. They've been running the offense through LeBron James a lot more, which is not that is a bad thing. It just still shouldn't be happening to this degree when he's 39.
Sure.
Out there. Somebody had a comment earlier, JNCTN, Kawhi should give LeBron a little kiss before the game to throw him off.
That would throw him off.
Like their Magic and Isaiah Thomas back in the day in the finals.
Would that not throw him off? I also just noticed we can overlay the chat on the video if we want to do that.
Oh, yeah. Why not?
Do we need the whole chat on there?
I don't think we need the whole chat. Should we?
Less of us.
Let us know, because we're probably going to say this as a standalone video too. Let us know if you like the chat in the overlay. I'm going to be honest. I don't like it to start off, but that's only because I see John Cooperman's comment.
What did he say? I'm worried about Mark Madsen. Who let the dogs out?
Yeah, I'm feeling way too confident about this game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout or anything like that. But it's hard for me to really envision a way in which the Clippers lose this game that doesn't involve the Clippers emptying the clip directly into their own foot. You know what I mean? Like, I don't see a way that the Lakers they don't have a thing that I'm worried about. You know what? Like, I just don't.
I mean, like, I think that
I feel bad. I feel way too confident. But
if you give up 70 paint points to the Lakers and they're getting to the free throw line, that's how you lose the game.
Yeah.
Or if they happen to have a good shooting night from the outside, which is typically a bonus for them. They have a formula to beat you. If your defense isn't on point, you will get burned by that. Is it more right now about the Clippers and how they're playing and self-inflicted wounds? Of course, because it goes back to that margin for error. They have the larger talent disparity is in their favor now almost every night, unless they're playing the Boston Celtics or the Denver Nuggets. Like, there are only a couple of teams, and I think the OKC Thunder, who really scare me against the Clippers when they're even at their best. If they're at their best, they'll win. But if they slip up and the Lakers happen to be on their game that night, they're still a problem.
They are a problem. Will, are you too confident? You're muted. We can't hear you for some reason.
I'm feeling too confident, but I think the thing about these two teams, every matchup is even when the Lakers are in their depths and not really doing that well, they still do their best to make this one an exciting game. Like the battle for LA.
They're always crazy.
The battle for LA in the last 4 years, we have not really had many duds. These games these games always seem to mean a little bit more, and things are a little bit ratcheted up. And when they're at that level, obviously LeBron and AD are at their best. And size-wise, they do present some interesting challenges for the Clippers, especially if we see stuff with the four Hoffers.
The four Hoffers of the apocalypse.
The Hoffa lineup.
Not heifers, they're Hoffers.
With the Hoffa lineup. I think that could be a real issue. And I think that things could go south fairly quickly. And that's not a knock on Russ. It's not a knock on anybody in particular. It's just that kind of size is going to give you problems. And so we'll see. We'll see if rotations are changing. Adam brought up the stats. So if you just tuned in, sorry, I don't have them right in front of me. But the Russ plus Kawhi, PG, and Harden, it has not been a particularly powerful look for the Clippers.
Well, the stats, they're on the rundown.
It's too high up, man. We're so deep. We're deep into this thing now.
No, so I do
go
agree.
back to the go back to the prologue.
What I do like about that lineup is that we hadn't seen it for a while, right? Like we hadn't seen it since November 30th until last night again. So I really hope we don't see it. I agree with you there. Yeah, and Tice is going to be interesting. Everyone's playing very good right now for the Clippers. Tice is where I get a little worried if he's out there against some size.
As good as Daniel Tice is and has been for this Clippers team, unlike when Russ sacrificed...
It's time for Plum to come back, baby. Is that where you were going with that?
No.
He said no.
Unlike when Russ sacrificed for James Harden, that's because, James Harden is the better player. Mason Plumlee sacrificing for Daniel Tice. Daniel Tice is not a better player than Mason Plumlee. Mason Plumlee is the better player than Daniel Tice. Yes. At some point, he needs to start playing more. I understand he's just coming back. He just played garbage time minutes. He actually looked pretty good, even though the Clippers overall in those inconsequential minutes weren't.
That was bad basketball. That was really bad.
But, rhythm, timing, getting to the basket, hitting some free throws, he looked okay.
Little slow.
Daniel Tice is not better than Mason Plumlee.
Yeah.
I just want to make that clear. Eventually, Mason Plumlee needs to get back to playing more minutes. He is the more effective big in pretty much every way, maybe outside of the outside shooting, of course, if Daniel Tice can keep that going.
Sure. Yes. Yeah. And someone was in the chat, X Mongo Project was asking if Plumlee was going to return in this game. Everything that I've seen from beat writers is projecting against like the 21st, like that Nets game. So I don't know. He's also, if you've missed this in the Clippers verse, told Ty Lue if things are going well with Daniel Tice, just play Daniel Tice and I'll wait my turn, which is great.
No, I love the sacrifice. I like that he said it. I think it makes sense for now. I just think you can start easing Mason Plumlee back in for a few minutes here and there, and then eventually he's overtaking those Daniel Tice minutes. Doesn't mean Daniel Tice isn't still valuable. Doesn't mean there's not going to be situations where you need him, especially in a game like last night. I think that would have been optimal to have a fully ramped up Mason Plumlee against that Pelicans team.
Yeah.
It made sense to go with Daniel Tice. He's the one that's been playing well. Mason Plumlee just came back, but I don't want to lose sight of the fact that he's still the better player. This isn't
it's not
Russell Westbrook sacrificing for James Harden because he's the better player. That makes sense.
Mason PJ Tucker, he had to sacrifice the most.
We did get somebody commenting in here about is Tucker happy right now?
No, he's not. There's no way he's happy.
He's been encouraging his teammates. I've watched it. He's been a good teammate, a good soldier.
We'll see. Okay, so let's get to our player of the game picks. Again, we've been right on these every single game. All three of us have never gotten one of these wrong. Will, who is your player of the game pick for Clippers versus Lakers?
I want to say Harden, but I feel like that's a cop out. Although I am very excited to see Harden in his hometown against the Lakers. But I'm going to go with Terrence Mann. I think that Terrence Mann is going to have a great game on both ends of the floor. Knock down. I'm going to call it 3 threes.
3 threes,
and I think he's going to be major. And he won't close though. We'll still go with the power lineup to close.
Okay,
Power
not bad.
Did you say the Powell lineup?
Oh wow, the
more props, dude, more props.
If you're just joining us, the props have never been on this level before. All right, yeah, more third-party audio from Adam Oslin. Who's your pick for player of the game?
I think I'm gonna go Norman Powell. Just to piggyback off the Powell Rangers, I think they're gonna need him because I expect the Lakers to play well, which means the Clippers will have to play that lineup at some point.
That's a good call.
Spread them out, bring Anthony Davis away from the paint. And he's too damn good. He's just too damn good. Fourth quarter Powell, over 60% from the field, over 50% from the outside on the season. He's unbelievable. I'm so happy for him because he's a guy that works so hard. He's a perfectionist. He expects so much of himself. But that Andrew Greif article in the LA Times talking about how instead of him chasing being an all-star, thinking that he needs to be one of the top guys on this team, he's just controlling what he can control. And he's taking advantage of his minutes. And William Blast, you're wrong. Daniel Tice is not a better finisher than Mason Plumlee. And he's really good in the pick and roll. We haven't even had a chance to see Plumlee next to James Harden in the pick and roll. That is
true.
Another level this team can get to.
People were talking about with Tice's good stretch of play, when things started to turn around for the Clippers, we had the almost double-digit win streak, was Mason Plumlee already irrelevant? And when Charles and I talked about it, I said, absolutely not. Until we get the chance to see Mason Plumlee on the floor in some minutes with James Harden, there's no way you could possibly pencil this guy out of your rotation. The notion to me is absurd.
All right, for my player of the game pick, I'm going for a very obvious choice. I'm going Kawhi
Leonard.
Kawhi, it's 100% Kawhi Leonard. I think Kawhi goes for 40. I would love to see that. He did not have, an elite game against the Pelicans, 19 points, 9 boards. But I think Kawhi is going to make a statement tomorrow. I think he's going to be back in LA. I think he's going to bounce back shooting wise, and we're going to see a vintage, get to his spots. He's going to be here at the top of the elbow. He's going to get here in the mid range, and he's going to set the tone. And then at some point, he's going to flip the switch, and the game's going to be over. That's what I think.
Which we have seen him do.
He basically did it again against the Pelicans. I
feel like we've seen him do it more this regular season in where
than any other time.
Halfway through than I feel like any previous regular season.
It's phenomenal.
It's unreal.
I do want to say this though regarding Kawhi. There's been this thought out there and a little bit of disrespect from people saying, I got this at Follow Adam May on X earlier today. When I put up the Kawhi Leonard numbers over the last 14 games, 60, 53, 90 shooting splits. Clippers are 13-1 during that stretch. He's won the last 12 games that he has played in individually. They've been undefeated in the last 12 games with Kawhi Leonard. But somebody responded to that and said, Semi said, he has finally looked like the Kawhi they traded for. Took him 5+ years, but later better than never, I guess. That is disrespectful.
Whatever,
Kawhi Leonard tore his ACL while being the best player in the 2021 playoffs. No one was better than him. What were you looking at?
Watch Kawhi in that Dallas series in 21.
In a Clippers jersey than he was in a Toronto Raptors jersey. Like, he was playing better than ever. Do not act like all of a sudden Kawhi Leonard is just starting to reach his potential as a Clipper now. He had a setback. He gave his ACL. He's got a cadaver one or whatever it is now that they had to reconstruct his ACL with. That's what they often use. Kawhi has been the man. He was going to win them the championship in 2021, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Can you pick the cadaver? Because I would pick like a track star.
No, you can't pick the cadaver. Don't they also sometimes use a pig? I can't remember.
That's for Tommy John. Anyway, we're getting off track. We're gonna get the play. We're all gonna get
They
the
use
player
a
of the games
Liger
right.
for Kawhi.
Yeah. Coming up, we're talking the Suns game. We're gonna talk that because it is a back-to-back for the Clippers, and then we're picking the winner of the YouTube contest that Adam and Will need to vote on. We got Suns talk, and then Clippers Suns talk coming up in 3, 2, 1.
Hey, welcome back in Clips and Dips, Season 2, Episode 37. I'm Adam Moslin. We got Chuck Mockler. William Updike is here. If you're listening on the podcast, this was a YouTube live edition. At Clippers Podcast on YouTube is where you find us. At Clippers Pod on X is where you can find us there, and that also streams. Still, Elon has that part of it working for us. If you were just watching this on Twitter, you could just be streaming this episode and have it in your feed or whatever. So, Clippers front end of a back-to-back tomorrow. It's a 3-4 taking on the Lakers. Back end of that back-to-back will be at home against the Phoenix Suns for the second time in a week. Still don't know if Kevin Durant will be available. I was a little bit surprised he wasn't back already at this point. I kind of figured when he missed that game against the Trailblazers, that was just him getting a little bit of rest because he had played so many early on in the season, but he still hasn't played. Didn't play against the Clippers in their 131-122 victory over the Suns in Phoenix. Didn't play against the Miami Heat when they won 113-97. They will be on the second night of a back-to-back too, though. They got the Memphis Grizzlies at home tomorrow night when the Clippers are taking on the Lakers at Crypto. So, not a rest advantage for either team in that game against the Phoenix Suns. We'll see who's available for the Clippers, another back-to-back, who will be playing. Hopefully, another reason that if you're of the belief that they should blow out the Lakers, there's a reason to, because they got a game coming up the very, very next night, Chuck.
Yeah, I think everyone should play in this game, right? If they're not hurt, they're going to play. That's been what we've been seeing for the Clippers. So I'm assuming everyone's going to play in this Suns game. The last time we played the Suns, it was kind of a wonky game. Both teams had a 70-point half. Like, the Clippers shot so well for the entire game. The Suns were absurd in that second half. Will, where do you think the Clips can improve on that last matchup?
Who is better whistle on the table? Is that?
Yeah. Oh God, I hope we get a different ref crew. That was a nightmare to watch that game.
Man, we just got such great performances out of the big three in that one. Like, really, kind of everyone stepped up. Maybe, I guess I'd like to see Zoo have a better game. Maybe be able to go to him offensively a little bit if the shooting isn't as hot as we were. I think you already mentioned Clip shot 53% from three. So I kind of like that matchup of Zoo on Nurkic. I think he's a little slow-footed. He's still got the size. But the way Zoo has been expanding the range lately,
he was showing off again in the Pels game, dude.
Some of his footwork is nasty this season. He looks a lot lighter on his feet than he has in previous years. So I think that's one of those things that we can, if the shooting doesn't have the same level of efficiency, which I don't expect it to, we can kind of go to, and we need to be exploiting some of those matchups. We need to keep Big Zoo involved because that's the best way to get his peak performance on both ends of the floor. Really, truly.
It's a good call. Adam, what are you looking for?
Yeah, Big Zoo to have a big game. He's one of our young guys. It feels like right now, like when he's dunking on Valanciunas in that first quarter, he's not just dunking on him. He's dunking on the Zoo haters. He's dunking on Carl Tart. Zubats is a
Happy birthday, Carl Tart, by the way.
Man. He's a made man. Happy birthday, Carl. He is being respected now as being one of the guys, not just a starter that gets 25 minutes. Yeah, William, and he'll do the same for Mason Plumlee. Comparing what Mason Plumlee did last year to Daniel Tice this year, Daniel Tice is playing next to James Harden. James Harden next to Mason Plumlee is going to work very well. But yeah, he has unlocked Ivica Zubac. They didn't just get James Harden in the trade. They got a better version of Ivica Zubac. That is a huge, huge difference maker for this team. And just one more weapon. I still get frustrated sometimes. It happened against Miami, I think, where it was Miami or Phoenix, where they just weren't scoring for about 5.5 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's like, guys, just look for Big Zoo. Just get him some easy touches here. But James Harden, for the most part, he has kept him involved offensively. It also helps your defense, of course. You keep that guy. We talked about it earlier, but players getting touches, feeling like they're involved on offense. It just, a rising tide lifts all boats, whatever you want to say. It helps in every area of the game. So I'll say I want to see a lot from Ivica Zubac and more from Terrence Mann on Devin Booker. What he did in that first half against Booker,
especially if
in
KD
Phoenix,
plays, he's
was
going to have
awesome.
He's going to have an even bigger responsibility on Book if KD plays in this one.
Yeah, exactly. I want to see. I want to see this team sweep this, not quite a homestand, but take care of business against the Lakers to put themselves in a better position against the Phoenix Suns.
Yes, I would agree with that. It'll be interesting if KD plays, kind of where Kawhi and PG end up. I think that I would love to see Kawhi on KD the whole time, but I don't think the Suns will let that happen. So it's anxiously waiting for this injury report for this Clippers Suns game. All right, Will, who's your player of the game for Clippers Suns?
I'll go Kawhi again. Well, I'll go Harden.
You said it. You already said Kawhi.
Well, I mean, I don't know if he's gonna. I don't want to say that your prediction is going to be wrong for Kawhi against the Lakers. I don't know if he'll go back to back on it. He will play in both games, but I don't know that he'll have like knockout performances in both of them. But I'm gonna go Harden in this one because I hesitated to go Harden in the Lakers one. It seemed too easy.
Adam,
I'll go Amir Coffey against the Suns.
Ooh,
okay. It's a back-to-back.
All right, I like that logic.
Coffey quietly has been giving him good minutes now since Kawhi has come back. He's been getting about 15 minutes per game. He hasn't popped, though. He hasn't had as many highlights. And he was good against the Pelicans defensively. But on a back-to-back, tired legs, I want to see Amir Coffey get a few more shots. I think he'll get more minutes in that ball game. Hopefully he takes advantage of them.
I like that. I like that call. I'm going to go Kawhi Leonard again. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going, I think Russ. We mentioned the back-to-back thing. I think Russ is going to be maybe a little needed in the Phoenix game. I hope it's a little more controlled maybe than the last time. There were some rough possessions against the Suns for Russ the last time we played, but I think he might help us out a little bit. And I'm just excited to see Paul George be better than Devin Booker again. I think we're all excited for that. All right, let's get to the most important part of the episode. We have to pick the YouTube comment winner from a week and a half ago. They're going to get Adam has to grab more props. For those of you who are watching, Adam is once again left. We are giving away an Ivica Zubac Croatian Night t-shirt. They didn't advertise that it was Croatian Night at all, despite having a starting center who is a Croat. They should have advertised it more. The shirt is awesome. Adam is going to show it to you right now. Adam will personally put this in the USPS mail slot to send this to you. We're going to splurge for some padded envelopes so it comes to you.
Padded mailers.
Padded mailers so it gets to you in one piece.
Hey, complete with Intuit Dome Rock. You're going to get that too.
Yeah, hopefully it dirties the shirt up in there. So we had here's what we had. So Nicholas Ramos 3187 said willing to buy a car next year in order to get that Zoo shirt.
Ooh,
but I'm gonna be honest. He said next year. I don't know if I totally believe him.
Well, you already missed it.
Someone said in the comment section in this live that they bought a car on New Year's.
Luca E23 said if you don't want to lose your only listener from Ibn Buren, you better send that shirt my way. That is in Germany. I said I wasn't a fan of the threat. And then Mike just said Ultra Zord with an exclamation point. Who do we think? Who's
corrected my dumbass? I was like Super Zord thingy. No, it was the Ultra Zord.
So who's your pick for best comment?
I mean, I got to go Luca E23. A, I don't want to lose an international listener.
Okay.
B, I think Adam should pay for that international shipping.
Okay.
He didn't buy a new car this year. He's got the money.
Adam, what's your pick?
I actually agree, or I did agree until I thought about the shipping part of it. Yeah,
We can split the shipping. It's not that
Daniel
much,
Tice
guys.
is German, right? We got to expand our brand there.
Can you even take a padded mailer overseas?
I love Wolfenstein 3D.
All right. I mean that settles it. Luca E23, if you are watching this show, get at Adam on YouTube or us on Twitter. Yeah, get to us on Twitter at follow Adam A or at Clippers Pod.
You know what our next giveaway is going to be? We actually have some urinal cakes that are going to be in the 3,000 toilets at Intuit Stadium. So if you want to go ahead and get your hands on one of those before they're pissed on, go ahead and hit us up over at Clippers Pod.
We actually do have another giveaway. Adam, you got the Mexico Heritage jersey, right?
This thing is way nicer than I ever thought it would have been.
So this is the next giveaway.
Jersey mesh.
That rules. That's rad as hell.
Ooh,
damn, that is
nice.
Sick.
Look at this thing.
I wish the back had a number and it said Mexico, but that is sick. Can I put in a comment for this? Can I just buy this from you? Okay, so the contest, as you know, I guess, or maybe you don't, if you want to watch us on YouTube, go to youtube.com/@ClippersPodcast. Put a comment on this video. We're going to turn this live into like a standalone video so you can watch it back and it's easier to find and you can comment on it and we will pick the best.
The comment be on the next video.
Yeah.
All right, whatever. Next video. John Cooperman wants a piss pod. That could mean a whole bunch of things. But put a comment on the next video. We'll remind you all next episode too. So just think about this fantastic Mexican heritage Clippers jersey that is very high quality. Thank you, Adam, for getting that together.
Do you have to be Hispanic to win this?
You do not. And shout out to Luca E23, owner of a brand new Ivica Zubac Croatian nightshirt. So hats off to Luca E23. We're going to have a double dip after tomorrow's and Monday's game if Adam allows us on the radio. Shout out to William Blast. He said he listens to Clippers games. He hears Adam every day on the radio. Adam, for these YouTube people who are maybe new, can you explain what the double dip is?
Yeah, I'm lucky enough to get to do pre-half and post-game show on the radio for the Clippers, and the post-game show is called Clippers Talk, where we take calls, and I also bring on a guest, and it happens to be one of these two fine gentlemen, and Chuck Mockler or Will Updike most nights. Once in a while, I have Ricky G on when they're taking on the Golden State Warriors or special guests like that, but these are my go-to, as they have been before we were even doing this Clips and Dip. So we call it Clips and Double Dip on Clippers Talk whenever they come on with me, and then we podcast and isolate that later on our Clippers podcast for Clips and Dip as well.
There we go. We love it. It's a great time. Will, where are the people listening? Where can they find us? How could they maybe, let us know if they appreciate our work or don't appreciate our work? Some of those people exist.
Yeah.
Adam, put the ruler away.
So if you're not watching the show, you're missing out. We're over on YouTube. That's at Clippers Podcast. And just to clarify, if you want a shot at that sweet, sweet heritage jersey, go ahead and leave the best comment on the next video that we post up. It'll come out sometime next week. We'll remind you on social media, but that's where you can win a sick jersey. You can also listen to this podcast anywhere you get your podcast. If you happen to be listening over on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify, they accept ratings, they accept reviews. It would really help us out if you go ahead and do that. And we're also over on Twitter. That's at Clippers Pod. We'd love to chop it up with you anytime.
We absolutely would. We're gonna talk. Yeah, we're gonna have the episode out on Tuesday. We're gonna talk the standings after this back-to-back. Adam, let's send us off with a positive thing. Let's how you feeling on this Saturday evening?
I'm feeling good. Let me play my flute.
All right.
No, thank goodness Norman Powell wasn't included in that trade to go back with Nick Nurse, his former coach, to go to Philadelphia. Thank goodness Norman Powell. And I was one that speculated he might be involved in a trade for James Harden.
Yeah.
Glad I was completely wrong about that, because where would this team be without Norman Powell? They finally figured it out how to optimize him perfectly in a lineup that is their new death lineup, thanks to this. I don't even know if they'd have it if it wasn't for the great nickname that Will Updike gave. I'm sure somebody's going to ask Coach Lue or Norman Powell at some point, but it is the Powell Rangers Death lineup, and it is destroying worlds in the NBA right now. And I just love watching it out there because who do you pick? The Clippers are becoming a team that has some of those unsolvable problems.
Mm.
And that is what's
Yeah.
important right now.
Hell yeah, it is. Make the defense think, and you will probably find a way to win. Thank you to everyone who hung out on the live. This was a super fun time. Welcome to all the new subscribers. We'll have another video out on Tuesday. Yeah, we'll have the double dips in between them. Thank you, as always. And as always, let's go Clips.